Hello CFD, thanks for tuning in to November 2024 Chiefs Message. I want to first start with a heartwarming thank you to the entire fire department for your warm welcome to myself, to my wife, and to my family as we moved across the country to this great city and to the great free state of Texas. I appreciate everybody's sincerity and your welcoming spirit to bring us here to this new home as we're getting settled in. I'd also like to thank the Laughs team. I was able to actually attend the last performance of this great group, and they performed at one of the elementary schools here in Celina, and spreading the news of fire safety in the home to children. What a great place to start and make sure our kids are learning the essentials of being safe in their home, especially when it comes to fire. If they have an emergency, contact the right people and get us rolling to help them. So I'd like to special thank you to Mike Rockney, Michael Parrish, Terry Anderson, and Chase Heron for their great work during October Fire Safety Month to spread that news to our children here in Celina. Also, a bunch of congratulations are in order for the month of November. I'd like to congratulate Terry Anderson, Rob Hale, and Tyler Rigsby, who graduated from the National Honor Guard Academy. This is a week-long program that they went through, a big commitment, off-duty. They didn't have to do this. It was voluntary to learn the different honorary things to do as an Honor Guard member, and to bring that skill and that service here to our city is a wonderful thing. As you know, the Honor Guard has to deal with some of the most difficult things in our career, and it's great that we have representation within our own department. So thanks, guys. Appreciate you putting in the time and bringing honor to Celina Fire. I'd also like to congratulate the battalion chiefs, Sean McCarty, Mike Lang, for completing the Battalion Chiefs Academy through the Texas Fire Chiefs Association. This is a week-long class that they had to go through, and they just finished and did a great job representing Celina Fire, learning new things to make sure that we're at the top of our game when it comes to operations and managing people in the fire service. Also like to congratulate several firefighters who just came off probation. Congratulations to Nick Lamb, to Garrett Mize, to Chase Heron, to Greg Dyer, Daniel Lackey. And I also want to mention Dawson Wood. He completed back in September, but I didn't get a chance to congratulate him. So, hey guys, we know it's a big lift during that first year, going through an academy, getting here to an organization, and the stresses of being able to meet all the requirements of being a firefighter and a paramedic within the fire service. So thanks for meeting the challenge. Thanks for putting in the extra time to be successful and become a valuable member of our team. Great job. I have a bunch of updates to bring you up to speed on. First of all, I will apologize once again for a very long email that I sent everybody this last month, but I felt like I needed to catch you up on a lot of activity that's been happening at the command staff level, and make sure you understand that we're doing a bunch of work to help organize our organization a little bit better moving forward so we can achieve some amazing things in the years to come. Basically, I just described the new work structure for the command staff. The goal of this is obviously to create unity within our staff, unity within the floor, connection to the floor, improve communications. I heard from a lot of you when I was out visiting all the stations that communications sometimes was hit and miss. It would be good for a while and maybe not as good other times. The goal is to make sure that that is consistent and coming out all the time. Also, just to create, maintain some accountability for us. And as I've shared with my staff, if we said we're going to do something, we're going to at least try to do that. You know, as you know, we can't always get everything across the finish line, but if we say we're going to try to attempt to do something for the organization and improve something or build something, you have our commitment that we're going to be working towards those goals and try to achieve those. And ultimately, the structure is in place to create results. We're here to make things better, so as we set forward to try to accomplish new things, do we ever get things accomplished? Because that is really the true sign of the leader, that the leadership is actually getting things moving forward and better. One of those, this requires a lot of different meetings and a lot of different communication, both within the command staff and with the floor personnel. We're going to do that with weekly meetings, with monthly meetings, and different things like that to make sure we're communicating as a command staff and you're getting the information that we can share with you as we move forward, so you understand what's actually going on moving forward. I know it can be frustrating when there's just silence and you don't know what's going on, so we're going to make sure we do everything we can, that we can share the information that we can. Obviously, some things are confidential, but quite honestly, I've found as a fire chief, there's aren't that many top secrets in the fire service. So we'll try to get information out. If you want to read those emails and listen to that information, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. But we're gonna put it out there for you to keep up with if you want to. One of those meetings is critically important that we're gonna have on the calendar now every month is a labor management meeting. This is an opportunity for the leadership staff of the fire department, the fire administration, to sit down with the association leadership and just talk about things that are happening, current events. Is there any problems or any things that are annoying, any things that we could potentially solve? I have found that this is probably one of the most important meetings that a fire chief can have every month to make sure they're connected with the leadership of the associations and solve problems together. We can't fix things if we don't know it's broke, and we just love to hear your concerns. Now, we just have to realize that we're not always going to come from the same perspective. And we can have different challenges on either side. The association, as you know, your membership, you're going to have challenges and perspectives from your point of view, and then we're going to have boundaries and things that we have to live within too. Everybody has a boss. I got a boss too, unfortunately. Wish I could just do anything I wanted to do, but that's not how the world works. And but we have a commitment to you to sit down with your leadership once a month and work through issues that are happening within our organization and hopefully solve problems together along the way. Another thing that's exciting, we have a bunch of recruitments open. We have recruitment for firefighter open. We're going to be hiring 15 new firefighters. That's 12 brand new positions that we'll be adding to our department, and then 3 replacement positions. As you know, we're 2 short on, I think, A shift. And then, as you know, we're also recruiting for a training captain, so that'll create another opening as that person moves up a notch or 2. So that is exciting that we have an two internal recruitments going on. And then also we're recruiting a fire marshal. One of the things that I was worried about coming here is that Chief Metker was also the fire marshal. I didn't want to be the fire marshal. I had a really great fire marshal, and I hope to hire another great fire marshal. So that's where we're looking out there. So if you know anybody in that world, please tell them that this is an amazing place to work, and we'd love somebody to be on our team in the role of fire marshal. So all of that, the firefighter recruitment, we're just getting into the physical agility tests. Probably will be passed by the time you see this video. And then we'll move right into the oral boards and the selection process. If you have people out there, that recruitment is still open through the 27th of November. So we still have a whole nother week at the time of this filming that you can tell your friends. Please, if there's people out there that you think have the character and the commitment to this work that would fit within this organization, please call them, talk to them. We just want good people. This is the most important thing we do, is hiring the right people to be on our team. And all of you said it when I talked to you. The first thing you said, that what was great about Celina Fire was the culture. And you've done a great job bringing amazing people in this organization. So please give us a tip on those people who might be in that tier level of character that we want to bring into the fold. I also just want to personally apologize for the mix-up on the training captain recruitment. We put that out, and it's completely my fault. I've been on these guys, pushing them hard to get things off the list, and moving forward. We had some recruitment dollars sitting there doing nothing, and I pushed them forward to get these things announced. My fault for not actually reviewing the announcement as compared to our promotional policy. Those things didn't line up, which is a big no-no. So we pulled it for a second to make sure all the documents were lined up and the right minimum qualifications were in line with the actual position of a captain moving forward. And so we did that work and then re-announced that. So sorry for the little mix-up there, but we got that straightened out. And if that's a position, if you have a passion for training the future firefighters of the Celina Fire Department, please consider this opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to make a huge impact, not only on the organization, but on individuals as they move through the progression of their career. And there's nothing more satisfying as far as, things that you look back on your career as you can point to a person and say, I helped that person meet their goals and their dreams and change their family and their income and those kind of things. So this is a great opportunity you can pour into a lot of people as a training captain for Celina Fire. So anyway, also like to give you an update on the Station 4 design project. As you know, we are right in the meat of trying to get those designs done so we can start construction on our 4th fire station in July of 2025 with a tentative opening date sometime August, September of 26. It takes about a year to build a fire station. We hope we can stay on schedule there. But it's been very exciting. We've been able, thankfully, they actually contacted me before I actually got here and to start getting some input. So I really appreciated that. Fortunately, I've been able to build 4 other fire stations in my past department. So I have learned a few things that work and some things that are a challenge for new fire stations. And as we move forward on, being a more diverse workforce and those kind of things, that you can have stumbling blocks if you don't design your stations. Also, just design your stations for the future. And the city of Henderson made some big mistakes on just not really seeing that, hey, someday we might actually be a big city. We might need to actually park more fire engines or rescues in these fire stations. We might need some more beds to sleep future resources that are going to be running out of these districts. We had to go through and bulldoze fire stations or add to those, and it's never cheaper to do that. It's very hard to go back and get renovation dollars and build on a fire station. So on Station 4, we are able to, the big things that we're concerned with is about functionality of a firehouse, is how many beds it has, the bathrooms that it has, so it's comfortable to live there and you can do the things you need to do. Also the size of the bays. The worst thing you can do as a fire chief is build a fire station with short bays, because at some point you might want to park an engine back to back or run multiple rescues out of firehouses, because that's what's coming at us. Basically, these districts they're open fields with a bunch of longhorn cattle, but 10, 15 years from now, they'll be completely full. I've seen the plans. It's crazy. It's all coming at us. Those districts are going to fill up. The capacity of those districts are going to go through the roof, and the run volume is going to go up. So we'll need resource in the future. So anyway, I say all that to make sure we get the station right the first time. So it's designed right now with 11 beds. That'll accompany 3 different units at a minimum: rescue, engine, I know we call them medic units here, I'm sorry, medic units, engines, and a truck, for example. Or if you want to run an engine and multiple rescues out of it, or you might want to run 2 engines out of a spot because that's what you need in that area. But anyway, it'll be set up to sleep that many people. You always have an extra bed for a student or somebody who's extra sleeping there, or if in the future we need to position a battalion chief there, we have the bed for them and moving forward. So 11 beds, 3 long bays, 80-foot bays. Remember that if you're ever in this seat as a fire chief in this country, don't build anything shorter than 80 feet. So we have 80-foot bays, 3 80-foot bays. There'll be a 4-story training tower, as you know. It's kind of the Band-Aid and kind of get us to, as we push forward to build a training center, hopefully within the next 5 to 8 years. It'll help us to be able to have stairs and manipulate hose around doors and those types of obstacles as we move forward. We see the mid-rise buildings are already coming into our community quite regularly now. It's just a matter of time before we get the high-rise buildings, and at least we'll be set to start training on standpipes and stairs and those types of things. The challenge of the station right now is it's still $1 million over budget. That's the story of construction. Construction right now is extremely expensive. We're at about $580 a square foot. And that might sound like a lot, but I just came from $1,200 a square foot, so it sounds like a bargain to me. But we still have some trimming to do to keep within the city's budget, so we're working with the city to see what maybe we can do without losing the functionality of the things I just talked about. So that's the update on Station 4. I also want to give you an update on uniforms. Had a lot of conversations with each one of you when I was coming around to the stations about uniforms. I think there was a very strong consensus that there was a kind of a want to move more towards a more professional look, maybe be that part of our brand is to look a little better out there in public. So we will be moving towards a Nomex uniform with badges, nameplates for promoted people, brass on your collars, those kind of things. So much more traditional, as you know. And I think that came across, most people were pretty excited about moving that direction. So that's going to take some logistics to get us there. First, you're going to see a new policy come out, and I will apologize. Normally, I would get more of you involved in a change like this, but because of the time frame, I just want to get a basic policy in place, and then we can work on that in the future if we want to add things or add some creativity to the uniforms. We're going to keep it pretty basic up front. A basic t-shirt with just rank on it, and obviously Celina insignias, and then the Nomex shirts, pants, and those kind of things. We'll probably come up with a crew neck sweatshirt just for cold days. It looks just like a t-shirt, but obviously a long sleeve sweatshirt. Hoodies on scene are a little casual, so we won't go that direction, but we're not going to mess with the jackets or the warm wear this year because of the budget that we have. We're going to take the uniform budget that would typically come through us to buy you uniforms and just spread that out through a uniform allowance to all of you. It's going to end up being about $1,550 each. So that'll hit your paycheck sometime here in the next couple of months. And then you'll be required, we'll send you all the instruction and who to contact and what the uniforms look like and all that stuff. And then guess what? You can go buy your own clothes. Okay? I think you can figure it out. All right. So that's going to take a minute, and then we'll be very clear. We'll have a go date. We'll give you a month or two to make sure everybody has time to go out and buy uniforms. And then, just for an example, say it's February 1st, we'll put that out. Hey, February 1st, everybody show up on your new uniforms. So we'll make sure everybody's ready. And if we have to adjust that because of, waiting for certain uniforms or whatever, we'll do that. And then we'll hit a reset, and then we're off and running. And then we'll be talking to the association. We'll be talking to you if you have a passion about uniforms. Please get involved in that moving forward, and we can add to the uniform policy within reason. We won't get too crazy, but anyway, that's big. We have been doing some policy work from your feedback from those initial visits and from your association contacting the leadership team on a couple things were just very glaring. One of those was the overtime policy. Heard a lot about that in my visits, about kind of the first come, first serve approach, and why isn't it just lowest hours? Also, why don't we hire rank for rank? I heard from a bunch of driver operators that they didn't really have a lot of chances to have overtime opportunities. So we're working through that, try to get those things solved. We're meeting with the association to see what other improvements we can make on overtime. Overtime is important. That's money. That's money in your pocket. We want to make sure we're spreading the wealth out to the membership, and that we're also not overburdening anybody with too much overtime. Overtime's a good thing, but you can be addicted to it too, and it's not healthy to your family if you start having to have it because you bought the $80,000 Spider truck. So we just want to make sure that it's spread out, it's healthy, and that we're able to work it. Now, part of that conversation is the mandatory conversation. At some point, somebody's going to be mandatory. I'm very thrilled to see that a lot of people are motivated to work it, and we're having signups, and mandatory is definitely an exception, not the rule. Mandatory is never fun on the day that you get mandatory. And so, but the citizens do actually expect that we have people in those seats and those trucks running down the road every day. We said we do the work. Some days it's going to be inconvenient. Unfortunately, we're open 365, 24 hours a day. So we got to do the work. So we'll be working through that piece, which can be touchy with the association, to be as fair as we possibly can be. And it'll change over the years. Now we have 50, 60 employees, and as we get more employees, it'll create different options to do different things. So anyway, working on that. The vacation holiday sick leave policy was another thing I heard a lot about. Some of the details on how we can do that. Also, just to standardize that, it seems like it was being done 3 different ways on 3 different shifts. We want to make sure that it's kind of the same there. So no matter if you move from shift to shift, or you float or whatever, you're able to get vacation and holiday. And the sick leave policy is healthy both for you, that you can use for you and your family if you have difficulties with sickness or illness or injuries, but at the same time fair to the city, that there's checks and balances in there so it doesn't it's not abused. I know We're struggling through some staffing software right now that's really not as sophisticated as it needs to be, especially as we grow and we move from 3 to 4 stations here. Staffing is just going to be more and more complicated for the battalion chiefs and for you, quite frankly, every morning as we get moving. We are moving to Telestaff, which is the best staffing software for the fire service throughout the nation. I'm very familiar with that. We're in contact with Telestaff, which is Kronos currently, but it is about a 6-month training period and switch time. So we'll start that 1st of January. I know Chief Everson is working through that with Kronos to get that online. So we'll be training all the battalion chiefs, several of our division chiefs to make sure they understand the program. And then we'll get it down to the things you're going to be responsible for in your area as far as Telestaff, how you sign up, how you do trades, those kind of things. So anyway, that's coming. I think that you'll find that it's much more convenient, and you'll be able to see staffing. You'll be able to see, the overtime list, who has how many hours. You'll be able to be better to predict whether or not you're going to be up for an overtime or see a mandatory coming that might surprise you. All those things, it's nice, Telestaff, all that stuff's accessible to you to see what's going on with your staffing, and maybe warn your wife or your family if you see something coming that is heading your way. Also, a lot of discussion over truck companies out there. We had a lot of discussion about the tiller, and ultimately decided to move away from a tiller for several different reasons, and we decided to do a mid-mount platform truck company. We did some research on mid-mounts and rear mounts. I was used to rear mounts. I was a truck captain on a rear mount for about 4 years, so I was a little biased to rear mounts. But as I did, we visited Allen and Frisco and some other people that had mid-mounts, and there were some advantages there, and basically all the drivers said that they all drove better because they're a little lower, the weight's distributed a little better. So that's good, as driving, as you know, can be very dangerous when we're driving Code 3 through our neighborhood. So I like the driving. I will tell you that the rear mounts were pretty top heavy. Anyway, that's the direction we'll be moving. Chief Little will be working on an apparatus committee. So if you have a passion for apparatus, you'll see an email coming out from him. Please get on that committee and start giving your input on how we're going to build that truck company. This will be a true truck, no pump. We'll be moving into truck work. I have found that once you move into a city fire department, these are 2 different responsibilities, very unique, from an engine responsibility to a truck responsibility. And we need to train a certain amount of people that can do that work and make sure that they do it safely and effectively. That evolution, especially if we're talking about ventilation on roofs, is the most dangerous thing that we do in the fire service. We need to make sure we have crews of people that understand the risks and can see the red flags and make good decisions of whether or not we should be on a roof or not. So anyway, moving forward on that, hopefully, in my perfect world, we get the truck open sometime late 2027, in between Station 4 and Station 5. Or early 28. We'll just see how that plays out with the city. Obviously, the city has a lot of needs right now, and I've thrown a bunch more on them. So we're going to be working with them. A lot of important things have to happen to keep the city moving forward and growing, and this is one of the things. So as that project moves forward, I will keep you updated. We also have 2 engines on order right now. We have 1 replacement engine. We'll probably keep that reserve so we can increase our reserves when we bring this new one in. By 1 reserve. We're going to need that as we continue to grow. And then 1 new engine for opening Station 4. And also, I just talked to the city manager just this last week. Because of the delivery times right now from Pierce, we're still at a 48-month delivery time, which is crazy. It's really hard to plan for 4 years in the future. But we're going to have to order the engine for Station 5 immediately, so that we're on that list. And then when we're opening Station 5, which is now tentatively late 28, early 29, depending on the population density and how fast that legacy area grows in northwest Celina. So we'll be looking at that analysis as we move forward. I'll be giving those reports every 6 months to city management and to the elected officials to let them know what's happening up in that corner of the city and when we should pull the trigger on that multi-million-dollar investment. So that's the apparatus stuff that's happening. Let's see, what else we got going on here? Probably the big thing I report out on is some of the biggest concern and some of the things that you talked about that you're most excited about and we're hoping to get in place was just creating a more standardized, consistent training curriculum to make sure that the expectations are clear to how you're successful in this organization, and more importantly, how are you successful when you pull up to an incident and we've taught you, we've given you information to give you the best chance at a positive outcome, whether you're pulling up to a house on fire or to a cardiac arrest or a stroke or a motor vehicle accident, whatever those big calls are, that we've given you the information, that we're able to coordinate our efforts. The last thing we want is 3 different engines showing up with 3 different captains with 3 different ideas. We're going to give you some basics on incident command certification, and then the strategies and tactics we're going to decide as an organization when we pull up to a residential fire, an apartment fire, a strip mall fire, a big box fire, or a mid-rise or high-rise, that we at least have done some time on the front end to practice how we're going to actually perform on game day, so that we're not trying to figure it out when the flames are blowing out the window. So very excited to bring this curriculum to this organization. Very successful programs. Bringing this obviously from Henderson. We didn't come up with a lot of this stuff. We stole this from people who were doing it best, and we tried to meet the best practice regulation. That will be our goal here. The city management basically brought me in and said, hey, I've done a great job in Henderson. You helped build one of the premier fire departments in the nation. Hey, could you help us do the same thing here? That's the goal. What I'm so excited about is I've talked to every single one of you. I mean, you're all leaning forward. You're all ready to go. You're all ready to be great. You're already great, but you're ready to, what's the next thing? What can we improve on? And that's half the battle. So we're 95% of the way there. We're going to throw some information in front of you that I know you're just going to devour. And then we're going to be producing outcomes better than anybody in the north part of Texas. And eventually, I guarantee, we'll be that premier department in Texas. And then we'll push to make a name and make Henderson envy us. So we'll be going through incident command certification and then tactics and strategy. Well, I'm hoping to have that curriculum being pushed out sometime early spring to the entire department. This is going to be the hardest part of it, is just retraining the entire department. I don't think any of it's going to be foreign to you. It'll be all stuff that you're familiar with, but just pick a specific way of how we're going to deploy resources, how we're going to evaluate a scene once we pull up to the scene, how we're going to communicate on scene once we get there, how we're going to organize the scene with divisions and groups, and what are we going to call each other, what are the critical reports that we have to have on an emergency scene to make sure our information is current so that people can make educated decisions on the right current information. And as that information changes, that we'll make sure we're communicating that back and forth. There's all that stuff. So it's stuff but we'll just structure it and standardize it so we're all doing it the same way. Also, that's going to be coming out here in the new year are our annual company task standards. So we'll also be standardizing that, as through the NFPA, we're regulated to do certain types of training every year in the fire service. I know you're doing this stuff now. We will standardize that as well as a department, and then schedule it out on the calendar within the 12 months to make sure we're meeting all of our task standards. These are the basic things. So this could be from throwing ladders, advancing hose, ventilating a structure, cutting a roof with a chainsaw. All the things all the basic skills that you have to have and that we have to prove that we have documentation for within our record keeping systems to make sure that if we're evaluated, that we're meeting the standards and you're trained appropriately, that you can show up and be safe and effective. So the task standards for both for fire rescue operations and for EMS. So we'll also have task standards for showing up to a cardiac arrest or to a stroke or to sepsis or major trauma. Those big critical calls that we don't have time to figure it out when we show up. We should be, just basically should be silent. Everybody knows what to do. You go to work, because in those, we only have a small window of opportunity to be successful on those critical calls. We can't be thinking about, hey, what do you want to do on this one? No, it's like, these are the things that have to happen for us to produce a positive outcome. Keep this family together. Keep this person, return this person to their loved ones. Or protect people who are trapped in a burning building or trapped in a car, all this kind of thing. So those task standards, both for fire rescue operations and EMS, will be coming out, and we'll start training on those in the new year as well. All right, I just want to share something that I got this last month, and I get a lot of emails from different amazing things that you guys are doing out there, and I always like to mention at least one in the Chief's message every month, and I got this one that I thought was really special. It said, "Hi Chief, My wife's mom passed away today from a long battle with cancer. She wanted to pass at home and was unresponsive this morning after breakfast. Her husband called 911 around 10:45 in the morning, and several people from your team responded with the Celina police. Efforts to revive her were unsuccessful, but she was ready to go. Your team was extremely professional, gentle with my wife and father-in-law, helpful and understanding. They took such good care of us that I hoped you might be able to find who was on scene and to thank them personally from us. It was a call around 10:45 Friday, 10:25 on 1532 Saratoga Court. We're originally from Illinois and have been in Texas 5 years. We have been so impressed with your firefighters and paramedics as we see them around the community. They really are a special group of professionals. Thanks again for your team's help and care today. Please stay safe. Know we're proud of you and appreciate you for keeping the community safe. All the best, Brad Strigel. I would just like to personally thank Mr. Chance Malone, Micah Nelson, Tanner Tomlin, Colin Kanabe, Cameron Brewer. Thanks, guys. That is, as you know, one of our values for the city is excellence. That's excellence. Thank you, guys. And hey, I just want to leave you with this thought. You know, I've been my entire career as a young man, been a student of leadership. I think as you enter into your first formal leadership position, you think you know some stuff, and then you realize you don't really know that much stuff. And my suggestion to you is, luckily I had some great mentors around me to make me more self-aware of myself, is that stay humble and keep your mind open to maybe some people who have been there before, and be willing to learn things from people who have been leaders, have been successful at leadership, and actually have a track record of getting things accomplished and have a following. So luckily, I had that around my life moving forward, and hopefully that'll be around yours. So I'm always reading something. I'm always listening to a podcast, something. So I'm going to try to throw you a pearl every month of things that I might be running across. But I want to start in this first Chief's message with just some things that I learned along the way as far as leadership that have really helped me, and I think one of the primary reasons that I've had some success moving forward and keeping the first things first. So as far as leadership, I think the main thing that you need to realize when you move into formal leadership is that there's a lot of paradoxes, a lot of things that you think are right and make sense, but they're really not. And some paradigm shifts that you have to make when you get into formal leadership. One of those things that always stuck with me is that leadership always begins and ends with you. But here's the thing, it's never about you. Leadership is always about others. It's always about serving others or doing something for others. Because the truth is, without others, there's no need for leadership. Another thing I want to share with you is just my leadership definition and my journey there. I would suggest if you don't already have a leadership library, that you start one. I think one of the best books, if you don't have anything, is John Maxwell's Five Levels of Leadership. John Maxwell, I'm a big fan of this guy. Why I like John is because he's very straightforward, very firefighter friendly, easy to read. And what's cool about John is he reads everybody else. So not only do you get some amazing ideas from a great leader in our country, but he studies a lot of other great leaders, so you get little nuggets from other people just by reading his stuff. But I think when I first read some of his stuff over 20 years ago, the thing he said that I thought made so much sense is leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Because the fact of the matter is, if you can't influence somebody, they're not going to follow you. And guess what? If nobody's following you, then you're not a leader. So how do you get leadership influence? That's the focus. And the very essence of leadership influence is being able to get other people to participate. Will they follow what you're selling? Are they buying what you're selling? And what he said was, I think is so important, it's not that complicated, just hard to do. He says that there's no way that you're ever going to have leadership influence unless you gain trust and respect. And people aren't going to follow you if they don't trust you. You're not going to influence them very well if they don't respect you. How do you get trust and respect? How you get trust and respect is with strong character. That's the foundation of all of it. So what are those virtues that you're known for? If your best friend or your wife or somebody important to you had to describe you, what virtues would they say describe you? And put those down on paper. I just do that exercise. I think it's a great one to do. I did it when a mentor told me, if somebody describes you, what would you hope they say? And you write some words down. Then you can look at those words, just you and yourself in your own time. Look at those words and say, am I those things? And if you're not, guess what? You got some work to do. Fine, we all got work to do. But try to be those things. Well, if it's dedicated, committed, humble, selfless, committed, whatever those things are, that virtues that you want to be, do some introspection, self-assessment. Are you those things? Because if you're those things, I guarantee people will probably want to follow you if you're those things. But guess what? If you're selfish, if you're rude, if you're arrogant, if you're not committed, if you're not responsible, guess what? Who's going to follow you? Nobody. They might follow you because they have to, because you got rank, but they're not going to follow you because they want to. So leadership is influence. The only way you get leadership influence is gaining trust and respect. The only way you gain trust and respect is strong character. Character makes trust and respect possible. Trust and respect makes leadership influence possible. So that's the first thing I'd like to share with you. I think that's a very wise way to look at your leadership journey. Also, I believe that everybody's a leader, because the fact is everybody has an opportunity to influence somebody. If you're a firefighter, you have an opportunity to motivate other firefighters to be better firefighters. If you're a driver operator, you can inspire other people to be better driver operators. If you're a captain, you can motivate and encourage other captains to be great captains. We all have somebody in our lives that we can influence for the better and to help. And typically it's a positive things. How are you encouraging? How are you pouring into other people? Remember, leadership always begins and ends with you, but it's never about you. It's always about others. And last, I'd just like to leave you with, when I think that the main thing people are looking for in their leaders is credibility. And I think credibility is based on three primary things. First and foremost is competence. Don't miss this. Don't miss the basics. If you don't know how to do your job, if you can't deliver the goods, nobody's going to follow you. You have to know how to do your job. It's going to be very clear if you don't know what you're doing pretty soon about the people you're trying to lead. So you have to be competent. Put the time into your task, to who you are, what position you hold. Be really good at that. People would start to trust and respect you if you have the competence. Number two, you can just have competence, but if you're a jerk, nobody's going to really want to follow you. You're not going to have that much influence. So the next thing is that foundational character. Competence, you got to be able to know your job. Character, you got to be a person people actually want to hang out with, and they think that you have their best interests at heart. You're trying to advance them is just as much as you're trying to advance yourself. That character, that you actually care about people, and you're moving forward in your career and bringing people along with you. And the last thing is results. You can have all the competence in the world. You can be one of the nicest people, and everybody wants to hang out with you and have you as a friend. But if you can't get things done, if you can't get things across the finish line, you're not going to have that much influence on people. Nice guy, good guy to have a beer with or whatever, hang out on the weekend. But if you can't get results, you're not going to have basically a big following. You're not going to earn that trust and respect from people. So that could be little things. You don't have to be developing a complete program or building a fire station. It could be just, hey, we got a new paramedic on an internship, and our goal is to get them through that internship successfully. That's the goal. And then guess what? You get it done. They get signed off. They pass their national registry test. They're a certified paramedic. You've just created results from the effort that you put in. It could be building a fire station. It could be building curriculum for incident command certification or all of those other things. And I hope you get involved in those things. But remember, credibility is competence, your character, and can you get results? So just a couple of things that I want to share with you day one, so at least you know where I'm coming from. Love to hear where you're coming from on leadership. We do have a leadership class that we're going to put in place probably sometime at the end of next year that'll go over these things in more depth. But I think these are good general rules to live by as we move forward to try to lead to make Celina a better fire department. And I want to finish with this. I'm filming this the week before Thanksgiving, so I want to wish you all a great Thanksgiving. And we all, I'm sure there's many of you right now, I know a couple of you personally that are going through some challenging things and some adversity. But remember, we can always sit down and find things that we're grateful for. And there's no better elixir for anxiety or depression than to sit down and be grateful. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next month.